Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are back, y'all. We are back for Love is Blind. We are here for another discussion on what I am calling a few of the hot topics from the actual entire series. As y'all know, I'm late. I'm late to the party. I'm really on episode. I think maybe six. So we're not going to review it and recap it like we normally do. We're just going to pick out one of the things that stood out to me in the episode that I wanted to have some more discussion about. And right now, where am I? Where am I in this series? I'm at the part in the series where I'm starting to realize that none of these men like any of these women. Okay, that's where I am. We figured out Devontae don't like Brittany. I did a whole video on why that is. Go back and watch it. Mike don't like Emma. Sorry to say, as much as he is criticizing this woman, and if he does like her, it ain't the kind of like you want to find you. Is that what you know? People out here say now, the kind of love I want to find. Well, this kind of love that Mike is dishing out to Emma, honestly, it's not the love Emma needs to find. First of all, he's trying to make her have a baby she don't want, and now he's bringing out a whole other lot of things he don't like about her. So he don't really like her. He don't like her. Um, I would say that Connor is starting not to like Bree. He's starting not to like the games Bree's playing. Because Bree's playing a few games. And from what I hear from y'all, it's gonna get worse. But I really can't all the way say Connor don't like Bree. I think Bree don't like Connor. Bree the one running around with most of the masculine energy. So at this point in time, when I said all the men don't like the women, I'm gonna count Bree as the man. She don't like Connor. Chris don't like as from what y'all telling me from what we seen in the blogs. Chris ain't gonna like Jessica later on. I'm gonna have to get ready to see that. And Jordan Jordan likes Amber so far, but I'm in my notes. But wait, I'm thinking I need to wait until he meets that little girl and he sees the family life because he was pretty adamant he didn't want to date a woman with kids. And so far, he hasn't had to live that life. But on the last episodes I just watched, he's all of a sudden have a problem with moving out to wherever they from, whatever that suburb is that Amber lives in. He's like, I don't want to live this far. And she says, but we got to do it. We got to move this far from my daughter's school. And he's like, I don't even know your daughter. Why I got to do anything for her? There you go. So who knows how this gonna go. But we are here to talk about what my thumbnail said. And that is Alex don't like Ashley. He doesn't like Ashley. And the question that I want to talk about is how the heck did Ashley get here? Right? I wanna expand upon the point that the daddy made because we're gonna talk about that daddy. We're gonna talk about that daddy. Do we like the way the daddy showed up? Yeah, because we know Alex is full of shit. But we got to talk about the daddy and how that affects his daughter. So, what the daddy said was, Ashley's got a bad picker. She's got a bad picker. Now, what the father may be thinking, because when he did first see Alex, he said, "Oh yeah, this is her type, beefcake, beefcake, a really handsome guy, right?" Um, I know some people don't think Alex is handsome, but I guess in the world of people, Alex is handsome to a lot of people. So, and Ashley thinks he's fine, fine. She thinks he's fine. So, if this were outside his Love is Blind, the father could come to the conclusion that the reason Ashley's picker is so bad out here in the dating world is because she picks men based on looks and she doesn't pick men for their insides. And so as a result, she's had a bad picker. Well, wait a minute. We are now in an experiment in which Ashley didn't even have any looks to go off of. Now, he may be handsome now, but she chose him before she even saw him. So now you got to say, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This might mean that her picker isn't just off simply because of looks. Her picker is off because what does she see in these guys that makes her choose them? And you even juxtapose this against her father, right? There's a old saying, or people tend to believe that when you have a strong father presence who loves his daughter, who provides, protects, nourishes her, that gives her a good enough foundation that when she goes out in the world, she's starting with you know, a upper hand on how to choose a mate because she's had this what do you call it? Um mentor, or she's had this image. I don't know why the word is slipping my mind. She's had a good example. And you look at Ashley, and even her father has said she's got a bad picker, right? So before we get into that part, we first got to finish. We got to talk a little bit about Alex. First of all, Alex has had a terrible, terrible childhood. It's pretty clear that he's had a very, very bad childhood. And even through the questioning of the father, we discover that he kind of had zero guidance in his life, both from the mother's side and the father's side. He said, he admitted, he said, I was a mistake. I was a mistake. I mean, even to hear him frame his life in that way was pretty jarring, to be honest with you, right? It was pretty, I mean, most people would just say, hey, it wasn't a planned pregnancy. Um, it was, oh, I don't know, my parents weren't together. But Alex went so far as to say that um, he was a mistake. And Alex has been on his own a long time, since he was a child. And it kind of makes me go back to when he was telling that story about his soccer team and the loss of soccer in his life, right? You come to now realize that the loss of soccer in Alex's life wasn't just about losing a career. It wasn't even just about losing a dream. I believe that extended further into, not only did he lose a sport he loved, he lost a job. And I think what he also liked, he lost his dream, but I think he also lost a sense of family. I think that soccer team that he was on was probably the closest thing to a family unit that Alex has ever had. So I want you to put all these pieces together about who is Alex. Alex is a self-confessed nomad. He bounces around. But once we heard that mother on the phone, we kind of got it, right? She's a truck driver. In fact, when he called that mother, it was all sort of like really fake, right? Because when he called his mother act like she didn't even know who he was. And he didn't even know the mother had moved to Arizona. He didn't even know the mother had gotten a new job. So that was enough to tell me that Alex don't really talk to his mama. Not really. He don't know that much about her. And she seems perfectly comfortable moving on with her life. So when I talk about what he lost in soccer, he didn't just lose a job. He didn't just lose a career or a passion. He also, I think, lost a little bit of what he probably thought was a family. Because remember, he told that story about when his team was together watching another player get drafted or something. It was a big moment in another player's life. And Alex in that moment said, I just want to go out and play soccer. He had had all these injuries and all these surgeries, and he decided he was going to go back on the field and get back on the field and play soccer. And it was his first time back on the field for a long time. And he talked about how disappointed he was because all those other players that he thought was his family, after they watched the other guy get drafted or win the award, he was expecting all those people to come watch him play soccer, just like you would want your mother to, or your father to, or your family to do. And what he said was he was so hurt that none of those players came back and watched him. Um, Alex has had a terrible childhood. Alex is going to need a lot of therapy before he's ready for marriage. And what Alex has turned to, just like his father, just like Ashley's father said, he's smart, he's quick-witted, he's got all the answers, but he's not honest. And our father was correct. Alex is not only honest with you or Ashley, he's actually not honest with his life. Alex has repainted his whole life with a different brush. He admits that his father, it's funny, he starts the stories off good. But Ashley's father is so good at asking the right questions, going deeper, a layer deeper to get to the truth. Because on the surface, Alex will first tell you sort of a lie. He will use euphemisms. He will try to make it seem like it's a good thing. But if you just ask a few more probing questions, what you'll realize is it's not a good thing, right? So this goes back to, how does Ashley, who has had a good representation, a model of a man who at least is a protector and provider. We're going to talk about the other parts. How is it that she's chosen a bum, a man who lives a nomadic life? Nomadic life, that's also a euphemism. Alex is homeless. I wouldn't even be surprised that he came on this show just to have a place to live for the next 6 months, or even to get a paycheck, because we find out that he's also jobless. I was talking about, what kind of soccer coach are you? Do you make money in the off season? And we learn here that Alex don't even have no job. Was he a traveling soccer coach, and he's calling a nomadic life? No. Where did he learn it from? He learned it from an unstable father, not there. He learned it from a mother who sounds like she's a truck driver, so maybe she's not all the way home, right? Like, where was the stabilizing force, the person home with Alex? Something tells me Alex raised himself. And that's why you see a lot of parts of him that look underdeveloped, because they are underdeveloped, because a child raised him. The child is himself. He never really had a parent raising him. Um, when I look at what went on with the dad, and I'm watching it from two points of view. One is, I'm watching it from the point of view of, I'm happy that this father is getting to the root of things with Alex, because Ashley didn't see it, or she saw it and she reframed it. So get me right. Go back to my question. How is it that we can't say Ashley only chose Alex because of his looks, because she didn't know what he looked like? So now you have to say she chose him based on his words. Now you have to ask yourself, did Alex lie to her, right? Trick her so that she believes something that was not true? And to be honest with you, I can't say he did, right? Now, the reason why I can't say he fully tricked her is because, in part of the way what Alex speaks, is he does frame things in sort of a glossy way, makes everything look good, his soccer career, everything. But once you start digging deep and going down there, you actually see all the mess that's down there. But I don't think what Alex does is he tries to hide everything, because look how easily he spilled it to the dad. One, we can give the dad credit because he's a lawyer, he's an excellent cross examiner. But also, Alex willingly let out a lot of information that I was like, "Whoa, Alex, good Lord, you spilling everything." So, what I want to say about Ashley is that one of the things I think she does is she reframes things as well. She hears differently. So, imagine this. Ashley has constantly said that what she likes about Alex is that he doesn't seem afraid, right? Okay, so what she has reframed Alex's nomad life from, to being about confidence. You see? So here's Ashley. She grew up in a very stable household, very predictable. Probably not a lot of risk going on in that family. He's a lawyer. He's very methodical. He's very detailed. He's like this. You could see the wife. What role did she play in the family? She was silent the whole time. Even the son, Ashley's brother, sat there and deferred to the father. Ashley sat there, deferred to the father. So you saw the dynamics of the family. The man, the patriarch, he's running the family. He's running the family. He's running conversations. He's also so dominant in the family that everybody else has learned to be quiet and to listen, right? And to believe what he's saying and to do what he's saying. So if Ashley has grown up in an environment, a house with a father this strong, and she's learned to follow his lead, she's learned to sort of listen to him. He's the patriarch. He's the one that knows everything. He's the one paying all the bills. He's in charge. Then she gets Alex, who now she says, oh, he speaks with so much confidence. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this. It sounds familiar because she's used to that role of that man doing that in her life. But the problem is her father has substance. Alex's stuff don't have no substance. So she's listening to the outside. She's listening to the summary. You ever read a report and you get an executive summary and everything sounds real good or whatever else the case may be, but the details, you got to go down to the details. You see what I'm saying? There's a summary, there's a scope, but then you go down in the details to get all the fine print, the nitty gritty. Ashley's so used to her father, who's competent and capable of being the matriarch and running the family, that she's been given the luxury of stopping at the summary. She doesn't need the details because he's got it covered, right? You ever have you ever, any of you managers, and one of your employees is very sharp, very good. After a while, you develop a trust with them that says, "Yeah, I don't need all the details. I trust you. You do good work." But in another person that does sloppy work, you with them, you know, I need to see the details, right? Because I'm not just gonna go with what you say because I need to see the details. Ashley's used to getting the summary and being able to trust in the summary that you're going to be able to execute it. And that's why in the pods, this summary, that's what she was getting in the pods, summaries. She was able to trust that he can execute it. But the problem is the substance. It's those lower layers of Alex is where you really start to uncover problems, holes, right? Really big, gaping holes. The more he talked, the more this father exposed him, the more you saw how deep his wounds were, how deep his problems were. And Ashley stopped at the summary. And maybe when she's not in Love is Blind, she stops at the summary even sooner because she actually gets to see them. You see? So this time, she didn't just have looks to go off, but she didn't get to the summary. And she misinterpreted everything. When she looks at Alex, she says he's confident. But Alex really isn't confident. Alex just takes a whole lot of risk. He does a whole lot of movement, right? Because that's what he knows. She looks at moving around to another state, packing your bags and moving from Columbus to Florida as adventurous, right? That's adventurous. No, girl, that's unstable. It's adventurous if you have a job and you make money and you have a place to live, but yet you still want to go to exotic places and travel. You want to add a little adventure to your life. It's not adventure when you broke and don't have nowhere to live, right? I don't go down in LA and go downtown where the homeless are living in tents on the ground and call them adventurous. Oh, look how adventurous they are to sleep on the streets at night. Ooh, what, that's some risk taking right there. You see what I'm saying? It's not adventurous when that's all you can do. Alex is not adventurous, Ashley, because what you're thinking is he's already got the details covered. He doesn't. He doesn't have a place to live. He doesn't have a job. She's got almost like she's got FOMO, fear of missing out, you know, and then it really starts to unravel, right? After this, you know, one of the episodes, they're sitting down at the table. All of a sudden, Alex is realizing, one, I'm really not physically attracted to this woman as much as I thought I would be or thought I was or whatever the case may be. We find out he's more attracted to the Britneys of the world, darker features, he said. So right now he's even struggling with that. But then the other part he's going to struggle with is he's going to struggle with now having seen Ashley's family and realizing that he is the complete opposite of her family, right? So now he's talking about how she puts the water in the refrigerator, how she folds clothes. Ashley's complaining that he doesn't want to touch her anymore. What about the physical touch, right? Those are going to be important to Ashley because we saw from the father, as far as much hard nose we saw from the father, he was tender with Ashley. He gave Ashley a hug. He told Ashley that he loved her. He told Ashley that I missed you, right? Ashley's going to know those touches from her father, the love of a father, embracing her, wrapping her in his arms, making her feel safe and secure. And she's going to want that from a husband. So now she's saying, where are my hugs? Where are my kisses? Where are all these sweet words from this father who cared for me? And that's because Ashley, once again, you misinterpreted things. You see, when your father was protecting, providing, wrapping your arms, he was doing it out of love for you. Love for you, right? But how does your mother feel, Ashley? You see, anybody notice the mother? Anybody notice that the mother was sitting there quiet, very, very quiet, not much to say, as if she had to shrink herself in her father's life. Let's look at the way that the father spoke of Ashley, treated Ashley like a daddy's girl, versus the way the mother was there, right? Now, I'm not saying that the mother doesn't feel cherished or prized, but there was a very telling moment when the father was going on and on and on and on, right? In a lot of ways, there is some similarity in Ashley's father and Alex. They both liked to talk. That's why their banter was so interesting, because everything that father dished out, honestly, whether you like Alex or not, he was toe to toe with them. Toe to toe, toe to toe. That father was getting in some good licks. But Alex, he didn't shrink. He didn't run. A lot of people would have crumbled in that moment. Think about it. A lot of people would have been like, damn, your daddy is just, they would have given up in the middle of the conversation. But Alex stood in it because Alex is used to having to protect himself. Alex is used to having the streets raise him raise himself. And he stood there and he took the pounding of that father. But in the end, the father said, Ashley's got a bad picker. The father said that although Alex was very smart and he was able to sort of hold his own in this conversation, he was quick. He said that he's not honest, right? And then what he said was, what does it take to be a good husband? That's what the father said. What does it take to be a good husband? And what that father said, you got to care more about her than you care about yourself. You got to put her first. And in that moment, the whole family laughed. There was a sign. And they said, here he is dishing out some advice that he doesn't even follow, right? So does that son feel first? Probably not. Does that wife feel first? Probably not. They always said, each of them said, that's not true. And in the end, he even admitted, you're right. I do what I want to do. There it is. There it is. So all of that brashness that Alex has, all that confidence that Alex has, right? Ashley is interpreting it the way she sees it in her dad, because he's confident. He's brash. But guess what? The father admitted he actually does the hell what he wants to do. Just like he did in that conversation. He took over that conversation. He didn't care if Alex was uncomfortable. He didn't care if Ashley was uncomfortable. He didn't care if the mama was uncomfortable or that son was uncomfortable. He did the hell what he wanted to do. Now, we can be happy that he exposed Alex. He did some good dirty work for us, right? It's almost like a person you know who can fight real good. You ever have a friend back in grade school, you knew they could fight real good, and someone picked on you, but you couldn't fight them, but you had a friend that could fight real well, and you just let your friend beat up the person that was bullying you? That's Ashley's daddy. He can take down a person. So when you look at how Ashley has misinterpreted things, similarities in her father and Alex, but misinterpreted them, you can get back to say, how was she fooled by Alex's words? Because we can't say she was fooled by his looks. She didn't even see him. She didn't even see him. And now, because she is used to following such a strong leader in the house, okay, that father probably makes good decisions, is worked out well for the family. Now she has this guy who she thinks is just as strong. She thinks he's just as confident. She thinks he's just as capable. So now what she's willing to do is do to him what she did with her father, which is, I'm just going to follow my dad. I'm going to read the summary. She's admitted she's lived a cush life. She hasn't had to worry about anything, right? Is Ashley worried about having no clothes, no food to eat, nowhere to sleep? No, because she's never experienced it. She can't even fathom it, right? She can't even fathom it. But that is the life that Alex lives daily. A day, Alex is gone without some meals. Alex has had some top ramen meals. He's had some hot dogs and beans meals. You can tell. And Ashley is misinterpreting everything. She don't even see the danger because she's so used to having a father who can smooth out any rough spot and make it okay. But Alex has not shown any ability at all to do what her father has done. He may sound confident like her father. He may sound like he's in charge like her father. He may be asking her to follow him like her father asked his family to follow her, but he actually doesn't have any of the fundamental underlining skills to deliver on anything that he's promising. Nothing at all. Um, and that last little fight they had, after the father dismantled him over what do you do? You're a traveling soccer player, you're trading Bitcoin, but you don't know the cost of Bitcoin. You are in finance, but you got a travel, you got a severance package, you traveled the world. Um, None of this makes any sense. None of it is. I was a commercial fisherman, then I was a gym worker, then I was a casino worker. What the hell? I went from Chicago to Tampa, from Tampa to San Diego, from San Diego to Phoenix. Now I'm asking Ashley to uproot her career, her stability that she learned to get from her father, and I want her to follow me to Florida. Florida. But yet he's kind of warning her, this is how I live. This is how I bounce around. Because that's what's familiar to him from his own childhood. You see? And the sad part about Alex is he's reframed all these things as if it's a good thing. Like I said, it's like the homeless person coming to me telling me that they're homeless living in a tent because they're adventurous. No, that's not how you reframe homelessness. Um, I don't know. I think this is gonna break. Um, and the reason I think it's gonna break is I don't think it's gonna break because Alex is broken homeless. Because in a lot of ways, I don't even think Ashley sees that danger because she's never seen the danger before in being broke and homeless. She doesn't even know what the signs are of it because she's never seen it. What I think she's where this relationship is gonna break is because he's starting to pull back on the intimacy. He's starting to pull back on being kind to her and being tender with her. And that is something Ashley absolutely needs because I think she did. I think she got that tenderness from her father, right? I think she felt doted on by her dad. And now she's with a man that doesn't dote on her. He doesn't hug her. He doesn't kiss her. He doesn't tell her sweet things. And I think ultimately that more so is going to be what breaks them apart. She was willing to quit her job, FOMO, pack up her stuff, and follow this man for an adventure until the money runs out and then she realizes I need stability. I think that's what's going to break them. I really, really do. Um, I don't see this going long term because I think what the father knows is that Ashley's got a bad picker, but eventually what happens is she gets it. She gets it. But both of them need a little bit of therapy. Not a little bit. Alex needs a lot of therapy because Alex actually needs to go back. And just like he said, if I have a child, when he was all on Ashley about not taking birth control and all this, he says, I don't want to have a baby out of a mistake again. And he says he wants to rewrite his childhood through his own child. That's what he said. That's his dream, right? Um, I think Ashley is going to have to go back and look at how she's choosing men, how she's picking characteristics in men to sort of add something to her life that she maybe wished her dad had. A lot of times we think women choose men that are like their fathers. Sometimes they're also trying to choose characteristics that are different from their father. And having a lot of stability in your life sometimes might make you yearn for excitement, adventure. They live in Columbus, Ohio. I don't want to put down Columbus, Ohio, because I've never been there. But I was looking at these them going to each other's houses and seeing the landscape of Columbus, Ohio, and I don't know, I wasn't too impressed. I'm sorry to say, I wasn't too impressed. Everyone seems like they're trying to get out of Columbus, Ohio. Um, but we shall see. We shall see. But it's interesting. It was very interesting to see her choose Alex once I saw that dad. Very, very interesting. But anyway, that's all I got, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.